our Dungeon Master tip, we were going to talk about stopping and listening. So,
Yeah.
this is something that honestly I suck at sometimes, but other times I'm good at. It's kind of hit or miss. Like, I'm on opposite ends of the distribution depending on my mood.
Mhm.
And what we mean by stop and listen is sometimes players just start talking to each other.
Mhm.
And us DMs have a penchant to jump in and try to, you know, corral them like cats, right? Herd them. Do you guys, especially when they get heated,
Yep.
but do you guys find yourself interrupting your players when they're in those kind of discussions?
It can happen sometimes.
Yeah, I kind of have to
Why?
because I get paid to DM, which means I have customers.
Okay. So then you have to yell at them? That seems like a bad business decision.
I don't yell at them. Who would do that?
Interrupting them. Might as well be on. Hey, stop
if
talking!
two players starting to fight with each other, I'm like, hey.
Well, I'm not even talking about just fighting, but like in character even.
If they're in character, I can tell and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, I just let them go. In fact, I get a lot of ideas just from listening to them. It's like, well, why can't we go here? So, there might be this. It's like, now there is. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can't touch on that. This tip.
Do you want to touch on that? Because I'm kind of steaming from Alicia's comment about my ability to stop and listen.
What?
Fine, go on.
Anyway, the reality is you should take the opportunity to listen to what the players and their characters are trying to say. Let them talk. After all, it's a role-playing game after all, and some people enjoy role-playing. That's perfectly okay. So as long as they really aren't going in circles, go ahead and let them have their interactions. And there's a few places in particular where it's really good to listen.
Yeah.
One is, first, during problem-solving puzzles, mazes, or even diplomatic situations. Listen to what they say, and sometimes their ideas and concepts that they come up with might be actually better than what you designed. Or sometimes it just makes so much sense, it's like, you know what, let's just go with that.
Let's just go with it, yeah.
Or, even if it does make sense, just roll with it. Let successes be successes.
For me, go ahead.
As this happened with my players, and it completely evolved the way the campaign's going right now. They're talking to a silver dragon who's in a humanoid form, and they're asking him questions about the bad guy because they know about him because they've been around for so long.
Yep.
It's like, why does he wear a mask? Why is he wearing a mask? It's like he doesn't want anyone to see him decaying because he used a wish spell that was cursed. So yes, he's immortal, but his body's also decaying.
He's the mummy dude.
And one of the other players is like, maybe he's turning himself into a lich. I'm like, oh shit.
Okay.
But
I bet he is. And like,
you write that down.
Is he going for a lich? I'm like, yeah, he totally is.
That's the thing. That's why you listen, because one thing I've learned is players come up with way better stuff than I ever could imagine. Because their players are creative. They just don't know that they're digging their own grave half the time.
Yeah, they just made their bad guy a lot harder. That's all.
There's one time when I'm like, hey, how awesome would be these chain golems that wrapped around this black dragon we're fighting then to create extra appendages for it and armor.
Start writing that stuff down.
And the second situation. After you set the scene with their descriptions, listen to what the players' responses are. Let them narrate their characters' actions, and most importantly, don't interrupt unless you need a specific detail for clarification on their actions.
Or if they're spinning their wheels.
That too.
And just going in circles, because that does happen too. You're like, all right, guys, I'm telling you outright, it's not going anywhere.
And sometimes with the DM, it's easy to want to sometimes interject your own thoughts and details in every sessions, but sometimes you just need to take a step backwards and let the players play.
Yeah, because that's what they're doing. They're playing. We have to give a huge shout out to Andrew right now, because he says, picture a red dragon in a turtleneck in a white dragon's lair, holding a giant mug of hot chocolate, surprising all your adventurers who were prepared for ice damage. Surprise, mother!
And actually, I've actually seen people point out it makes no sense that white dragons live in cold climates and breathe ice damage, because things that live in climates are resistant or immune to cold damage.
Yeah, too much logic.
You think I'm scared of you?
All right, that'll do it for our Dungeon Master tip of the podcast.